Good afternoon, I'm Shane Masters with the Midday News. Special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. The Manchester Police are reporting a reduction in major crimes since the start of the year. Head of the division, Superintendent Wayne Cameron, speaking at the Manchester Municipal Corporation meeting recently, says compared to the 118% increase in murders last year, that number has significantly decreased.
I am happy to report now that of the 28 murders, we are up really by 9 or just 49%. So we have significantly pulled back on that percentage where we were up by that 180. So the downward trend is quite encouraging, and we hope to continue to pull back for the rest of this year. For the period January 1 to September 12, however, the division, we have recorded 317 serious crimes in comparison to 348 for the corresponding period in 2018. So we are seeing a decrease of 31 or 9%.
Superintendent Cameron says the police in Manchester are also faced with the issue of break-ins. He says for the period January 1 to September 12, they have had 148 reported break-ins compared to 157 in the corresponding period last year. He says even though it has decreased by a marginal 6%, break-ins remain a challenge.
We arrested 2 men recently, only to find out that they are employed to a security company in this parish. They were arrested for break-ins. And the evidence is so tight because we actually have them on cameras.
Okay.
And that creates a part of the challenge for us in policing the parish, because the people who are vested to protect are also giving us challenges with crime.
In the meantime, Superintendent Cameron says the imposition of a state of emergency in Westmoreland and Clarendon is also creating a challenge for Manchester.
Migrant criminals, men will want to come to Manchester. We have been having those challenges already. I've reported on it elsewhere, that a number of the crimes we have had since the start of the year that are committed by men from Clarendon. We expect to get more of that.
Superintendent Cameron says in order to combat the migration of criminals, they have increased border patrols. The parliamentary opposition is insisting that the government extends the closing times of businesses operating in areas now under a state of public emergency. Opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips made the call in Parliament yesterday. Businesses have been complaining about a decrease in revenue due to the restrictions under the SOE.
I am talking about the fast food joints and others that run a shift late. If you have to close them down, if they have to close early, they are going to eventually have to lay off those workers, and you're making the situation worse. It cannot work. Mr. Speaker, we insist that the opening and closing hours must be changed.
The House of Representatives yesterday voted to extend the state of public emergency in Clarendon and St. Catherine until October 19. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says gang activities are rampant in some communities.
The combined activities of gangs manifest in extortion activities, inter-gang conflicts, illegal firearms trading, which, Mr. Speaker, these parishes are featuring far more in the guns for drugs trade.
The St. Catherine Police is making an appeal for the taxi driver who was seen beating a student with a belt buckle in a video which has been circulating on social media to report to the nearest police station. This after the student's father made an official statement. The father, Colin Smith, said his son has been out of school since the incident. In addition to missing school, Mr. Smith says his son is also unable to function normally because of physical and psychological injuries. Senior Superintendent for the St. Catherine North Police Division, Desmond Brooks, confirmed that the matter is now being investigated.
We're asking him that the police need to have a talk with him, and that it would be good if he turns himself in by 8 o'clock tomorrow. So we have since met with the father, and I think he's satisfied. He's satisfied that the appropriate investigation is going on.
SSP Brooks added that the police are taking the incident very seriously.
The way the police handled the parent needed the improvements, so we will deal with that separately. But I believe that the police, the investigator, has taken the matter very seriously, but they could have, the communication could have been different.
I'm happy because they're dealing with the matter all hands on deck, all hands on deck. My son is still home, licking his wounds, and we're going to get by. But again, I appreciate the extra effort that has been put into making sure that I'm comfortable and things are going to get done.
The Media Association of Jamaica, MAJ, is expressing concern with the retention of an aspect of the Criminal Justice and Administration Act relating to prohibitions on the taking of photographs of defendants entering and leaving court or from producing a sketch of the accused. According to the Media Association, the clause in question goes against modern media practice. It further noted that in other jurisdictions, still and video recordings are allowed prior, during, and after court. The MAJ says keeping the prohibition is a backward step which infringes the freedom of the media. It also notes that the clause offers the government another tool which can be used to suppress journalists who can be fined $1 million and or be criminally prosecuted. The association says it must be noted as well that the law not only affects journalists, but any person with a camera. In that regard, the MAJ is calling on the government and opposition to work to abolish the archaic provision of the law which stands to hurt its citizens and, by extension, further threaten Jamaica's ranking for press freedom. We now take a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us. More stories after these messages. Welcome back, continuing the news. Cease and desist, that directive from administrators of Mona High in St. Andrew. Amidst reports, teachers are being asked to submit fingerprints. It's part of a process of confirming their attendance at school. Minister with responsibility for education, Carson Muda, addressed the matter yesterday in the House of Representatives.
That a teacher cannot be fired or refusing to comply with a request for fingerprint scanning at schools. There are alternative systems in place to achieve the objectives without the use of biometric data. And quite frankly, it is a unilateral decision taken out of an anxiety on the part of the principal. He wants to do well, he wants to ensure he has control, and he wants to protect the interests of the students to ensure that the teachers are at work. So one doesn't want to throw the baby with the bathwater.
So I just want to know specifically what the ministry has directed Mona High or any other school, given the knowledge that is in the public domain.
Well, they are to desist from the practice that was engaged. That's number one. No action must be taken in this regard without the approval of the Ministry of Education, who will initiate immediately investigations into the entire thing, including the storage of fingerprints.
Work to erect a new bridge in Paradise, Westmoreland is almost at 50%. That's the word from the National Works Agency, NAA. Last year, residents and taxi operators had called for the government to intervene to have the bridge fixed as the old structure was rapidly deteriorating. The residents told the TVJ News that from 2016, they have been trying to get the NAA to address the issue of the bridge, but no attention was given. However, work has since commenced.
The original structure was severely compromised, so we came in and we have demolished the original structure to make way for the new bridge. We are now in the process of pouring the foundation for the box culvert, which will replace the original bridge. So we'll have a single cell box culvert constructed in the location of the original bridge. This new bridge will be 11 meters wide and will also be equipped with safety features such as sidewalks.
In the meantime, the NAAA is warning the drivers of large trucks to stop using the detour, which was constructed adjacent to the old bridge.
This particular structure is not built to accommodate heavy-duty vehicles, so from the onset we had advised motorists to ensure that only small units traverse this particular section. But we have a challenge in that there are several units, larger units, that traverse this section daily, and we are going to advise such motorists to desist from this practice and instead to use the alternate routes.
The Santa Cruz police are looking for a butcher whom they suspect of stealing 16 goats from 3 different communities in St. Elizabeth. The goats were reported stolen from Sunday. About 6:45 this morning, several farmers went in search of their stolen goats in the burnt ground community.
I see some guy on the road, so I tell them, say, I goat them, I miss. So I look for them and they say, you know, say the guy that just do look butcher and go, well, they go check if you see a goat them. So when I walk, I go up, I hear goat them, I holler, so I know my goat voice, and from I hear them, I holler, I say, nah, God, hear me goat them there. So I go up, I see my come over with 2 stones in my hand. But they look like I want a kid in the go lick at first. But when he see me now, he come down to me with the stone them and I say, if you come contact him, I say, no man, I soon come back. I go down and come back. I'm going to go on the phone same time and call the police.
TVJ News understands that the butcher has not returned to the property. So far, 4 farmers have identified and claimed their goats. The total value of the animals is $300,000. And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's Health Report.
In the next edition of the Health Report, we look at dental implants.
It is much firmer. You can chew just pretty much the same way you would chew when you have your own teeth in. Dentures, the amount of force you can apply when you're using a denture is just a fraction of what you can put when you're using, your own teeth. But with implants, the chewing experience is pretty much the same as your natural teeth.
That's the Health Report this evening in Primetime News. And now for today's Healthy Living tip. Brush teeth thoroughly by using a soft brush which is specially designed for dental implants. Floss regularly. Avoid sticky or hard foods. Avoid smoking and alcohol. And do regular dental visits.
In sports, 2-time champions Jamaica Tallawahs will be looking to keep their playoff hopes alive when they take on leaders Ghana Amazon Warriors this evening at Savannah Park in the Caribbean Premier League. More in this report.
Buoyed by their first win of the season on Sunday against the Barbados Tridents, the Tallawahs will be looking for consecutive wins to move into 4th position as the home leg for the Jamaican franchise winds down. Assistant coach Ramnar Asawan believes the win on Sunday could spark a change in fortunes for the Tallawahs, who have lost 4 of the 5 games so far.
But the thing for us now is to ensure that we continue with the momentum. And I think once we can grab the momentum and run with it, I think the good thing about our team, we've got quite a few match winners. Like I said, I think Jay and the young left arm spinner can kind of put us in a position where we're much more balanced from when we started the tournament.
And the Tallawahs, as well as fans, could see the return of highly rated all-rounder Andre Russell, who has missed the last 2 games due to the concussion protocol. But Sarwan says the 31-year-old is not far from a return.
Good thing about it, he has been going through his testing, and everything seems to be okay at this point. So we just have to wait and see what happens today, tomorrow, and then obviously, we see.
The Tallawahs served up a steady diet of spin to the Tridents on Sunday. And Amazon Warriors coach Johan Botha says his team will also consider using similar tactics in stifling the powerful Tallawahs batting lineup on Wednesday.
That obviously shows that spin is still very effective. Obviously, here in Jamaica at Savannah Park, we'll have to assess again. Do we go so much spin, or do we take some less spin into the game? And that's a decision we'll have to make over the next 36 hours before game time, what we're going to do with that. But, you know, as an ex-spinner, there's never enough spin in the game. So, you know, we've used it well.
The Tallawahs' fielding on the lights has been below par with a number of missed opportunities, but stand-in captain Chadwick Walton is dismissing the impact of external factors.
We had a few chances went down. I don't think it is as a result of the players' capabilities. So pretty much we have a training session this afternoon. We'll just go through the paces again and turn up tomorrow and execute a game. I mean, the lights are what it is. We really can't do anything about the lights at this moment.
The game bowls off at 7 p.m. Renata Brown for TVJ Sports.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Shane Masters. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.